Greetings. I've posted two of my own articles on our web site. The first one, Dimensions of Genocide, the Circumplex Model Meets Violentization Theory, I published in 2008 in the Qualitative Report, Volume 13, Number 4, pages 605 to 629. And in this particular study, I used two theories, the circumplex model and violentization theory, and applied both of these theories to the Rwandan genocide. And in this article, I really spent a lot of time going over my methods that I used. Then in 2011, I published another article, Violentization Theory and Genocide in Homicide Studies, and volume 15, number 4, pages 363 to 381. I posted this on my website as well. And in this article, I made some changes and updated some things, but I also compared the Rwandan and the Bosnian genocides using violentization theory from the work of Lonnie Athens. And you may say, oh, a 2008 article, a 2011 article, it's 2018. Well, what has Mark been doing for the past 7 years? Well, sometimes if you look at my videos, you can see they go back about 7, 8, 9 years. I've been aging, right? You can see that I've lost more hair, I've become more gray, just the normal things that occur with time. But that's irrelevant for our purposes. What I'd like to mention is that I still am actively working, refining, and developing the model as it applies to genocide. So I wanted to mention a few things, what I've been doing in the past 7 or 8 years. I don't have formal publications right now. I've been working on some material, and I have some ideas, some PowerPoints. I've done some presentations, and part of this is just to give you a little bit of ideas about comparative analysis. Really, the Violentization Theory and Genocide article does a comparative analysis using Lonnie Athens' theory. But to kind of give you a few ideas about updates, one of the things that I've done is remove the circumplex model, which is an excellent model. It was developed primarily for marriage counseling, and I still think the concepts are very relevant, but trying to integrate the circumplex model with violentization theory didn't seem to be that useful, and so I decided to stick with violentization theory and use concepts from the circumplex model as I move into my analysis. I've also had a greater focus on the micro, meso, and macro levels and the interaction between, and I've tried to do that in the Violentization Theory and Genocide article, looking at the societal aspects and institutional analysis, and then how that led down to small groups and organizations, and then to individuals and very small groups who participated in the killings and massacres. I also tried to focus on both the structure and agency variables in my work as well, and you see that with the Erdemovich case from Bosnia, where I talk about structure and agency in terms of that he obviously could make choices, but he had some consequences for the choices that he made. In his case, he didn't want to kill anyone, but he was told to line up or he would be killed, and he chose to kill. Also, I've started to review additional court cases from Rwanda and from Bosnia, but also I've added more genocides into my analysis. My more recent writing focuses on Rwanda and Bosnia and the Holocaust, and that leads me to the next area that I've been working on, and that is to focus on specific crimes within the genocide. So I have a very, very rough draft of sex crimes during the Rwandan and Bosnian genocides and the Holocaust. And so I've also started to look at sex trafficking and slavery during genocides as well. Another feature has been the solidification of the violent predation stage, thanks to more recent work by Lonnie Athens, and that was the fifth stage that I labeled extreme virulency. Obviously, fourth stage virulency, the fifth stage extreme virulency, and Professor Athens relabeled that violent predation stage to really look at the nature of the behavior and thought processes that go on during that stage. I've also started to integrate trauma into the model as well, recognizing that being exposed to traumatic events, in one case I talk about a perpetrator who killed 74 people, but he also had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and in another paper that I published, looking at some individual perpetrators and how that was considered in the court case. And I think it's important to look at societal trauma as well, not only prior and during the genocide, but also post-genocide as well. So bringing trauma into the model is certainly very relevant and important, and I believe Lonnie Athens does that in stage one, where someone is brutalized and experiences traumatic experiences there. I also have tried to develop more of a risk model and started to think about interventions at each stage and how we could stop a stage from progressing. And then, of course, the de-violentization process, which would be post-genocide, because we see in some cases that the genocide seems like it's ending, but then it starts up again. Or it ends, and then 10, 20, 30 years later, we see another genocide occur. Maybe the same perpetrator group, maybe there's a role reversal with perpetrator victim survivor groups. And then finally, I've spent more time bringing in Lonnie Athens' concept of domination into the model, and talking about the different forms of domination and how that takes place. And so one of the things that I wanted to do here was just to kind of, first let you read these two articles that I posted in our web course, and then also to kind of give you some ideas about updates that I've done as well, because this is a work in progress. And there's been, as I mentioned, a lack of criminal justice or criminological related theories applied to genocide. We already had an excellent example from Hagen and Ryman Richmond in their book on Darfur, and we'll also begin to see that we have an excellent comparative model that Professor Rafter uses in her book Crimes of All Crimes. And so we do have some of this coming into play, but you'll notice that it's only been in the last 5 or 10 years that we really started to see this begin to pick up. And this wraps up this video.